Welcome to Everyday Reviews. This is the 2022 Subaru WRX, and today I'm going to tell you why I think this is one of the best everyday sports sedans you can buy. This 5th generation WRX is built off the Subaru Global Platform. It's all new. So what's involved with this platform? Well, it uses higher strength steel, more adhesives. It's way more rigid for torsional rigidity by 28%. So that's gonna really help it for noise, vibration, and also for the handling on this new suspension. We'll talk about more of that when we actually get in it. But dimensions-wise, the entire vehicle is 3 inches longer than the previous one. It's 25 millimeters longer in the wheelbase as well, where that's about 1 inch longer. The vehicle is wider and the rear track is wider. And yeah, this is a hot red one, by the way. Look at that front. You can't miss that big, huge Subaru scoop. That is functional, by the way. It goes right through. And a lot of things are functional as well. If you look at this cladding, there is a functional vent here. That's to help manage airflow as well. If you look really close in the cladding and the plastic itself, there's a hexagonal pattern to it. And that's not just for looks, that's also to manage airflow. Standard, you get LED headlamps, LED tail lamps. If you go into the top trim, you also get the added LED daytime running lights like this one has here. Onto the side, the sport trim gets 18-inch alloy wheels. You go down the side and you see this nice side skirt. Looks really great in the two-tone, I have to say. We have a sunroof on this one here. In the back, you have a rear lip spoiler, quad tip exhaust, and a nice chunky rear valance. Open up that trunk because of the extra length and the wheelbase. You get more room in the trunk as well, and a 60-40 split. So this is a very, very versatile vehicle. Let's have a look at the new interior. All right, let's check out the inside of this new WRX. It really has a very sporty feel, starting with the leather-wrapped D-shaped steering wheel. You have the WRX in the center there. This is the top trim model, so you get the ultra suede seats. You get a power adjustable driver's seat on this one. If you go into the lower trim levels, you either get cloth or premium cloth. When you look out, the dash feels fairly low. Visibility is really good because you don't have things sticking up. On some cars, you have these screens sticking up now. Speaking of screens, 11.6-inch infotainment screen on the sport trim and up. Below that, you get dual 7-inch screens. You get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you want to go into the tech package, you do get navigation. We also get a power sunroof on this, and check this out. Yeah, a 6-speed manual transmission. Can't wait to drive this, and a manual handbrake. This should be pretty fun on some dirt roads that we might conquer, wink, wink. Because of the new platform, the extended wheelbase, and the longer vehicle overall, you get more room, not only for shoulder room in the front, but shoulder room in the back, as well as just more room for the rear occupants here. So seat is set to where I would sit, actually maybe even a little further back. I'm about 5'11". Lots of knee and foot room, tons. We have seat back pockets on either side here. This is the top trim, so you do get heated rear seats, and there are 4 total USBs in this vehicle, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and they are the Type A. They haven't adopted the Type C yet. Room for 3 back here, but I would say more comfortable for 2, very comfortable, even for longer trips. You have your drink holder because this is all-wheel drive. You get the drive shaft going to the rear, so you have a fairly large hump here, but you know, that's to be expected. You gotta compromise a little bit, right? It's a beautiful day in Kingston, Ontario right now, but that's all about to change because there's a big system coming in, but that's no big deal. We're in a WRX, all-wheel drive, gravel roads, snow, rain, sleet, who cares? Let's go for a drive. Let's get to one of the best parts of the new WRX, and that is the drive. Now, if you're wondering what is the competition to the WRX, well, you know, some of the close competitors would be the Volkswagen GTI, maybe the new GLI, which we just did a review on not too long ago. You have the Honda Civic Si and the Hyundai Elantra N. Now, other than the Elantra N, this does have more horsepower than the others. because it has a new engine now. So it's a 2.4 liter up from the 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That puts out 271 horsepower now and 258 pound-feet of torque. If you compare that to, like, for instance, like the Honda Civic Si, well, that only has 200 horsepower. So you're getting 71 more horsepower than that. You're getting about 30, 40 more horsepower than the GTI and the GLI as well, and a little bit less than the Elantra N. However, this, you're getting symmetrical all-wheel drive as standard equipment. None of those other ones have the all-wheel drive capability, and you're getting a lot of sport with this. Power goes through either a 6-speed manual transmission or the Subaru Performance Transmission that we're driving here. Now, what kind of transmission is it? Well, Subaru doesn't want to call it a CVT, but it's not a manual transmission and it's not a conventional automatic transmission. So yeah, it's a version of a CVT, but normally people don't associate with CVT with performance, and they just don't go hand in hand. I gotta tell you, I've been driving this for a couple hours so far, and it's impressive. You know, when we drove the Outback Wilderness, I was impressed with their transmission in that vehicle. You couldn't tell that it wasn't an automatic transmission or a conventional. This one here, man, oh man, the shifts are quick on here. You can go manual transmission. We're going through these twisties right now. You have different modes. You have 2 buttons on the steering wheel. There's an S, which is a sport. Press it again, you get an intelligent, which is kind of like an eco mode. And then there's another button on the side, and you hit that and it goes to Sport Plus, or actually Sport Sharp is called. And that's going to really get the most out of the transmission and the engine mapping. So if I go and I hit the brakes hard, the shifts are so quick. The downshifts are 50% faster and the upshifts are 30% quicker as well. Just listen to this. You want to roll your own gear, hit those paddles, it's instant. It is instant. So they benchmark this against a dual clutch transmission, and this is made in-house by Subaru, by the way. I'm telling you, this performance transmission is the real deal. And in terms of variable transmissions, this is really the one to beat, and I hope more manufacturers and more transmission makers use this to benchmark, because they should all be this responsive and this good to drive. One thing about this transmission you do not get, there is no handbrake on here, opposed to the manual transmission. You do get the handbrake. You have electronic parking brake on this one here. And on the performance transmission, the all-wheel drive is split. So first of all, you have a limited slip center diff on the WRX, and the normal split for the manual transmission is 50-50. On the performance transmission, it is 45-55 under normal driving conditions, but if you need it, looser terrain, gravel, it's gonna go 50-50. Now the thing with this all-wheel drive system, the drive shafts are equal length, right? So that means they're actually quite long, and the benefit of that is that you can actually have that suspension actually even articulate even more. This actually has quite a bit of travel for the suspension. It is a passive system. There are no adaptive dampers on here, but we're on this really, really nice twisty road right now. It's got a lot of ripples in this road. It's not a smooth road, and it's sucking everything up. We're on these 18-inch wheels with summer performance tires, and that's what comes on here. You do not get all-season tires on here. You throw some winters on here, and man, oh man, you have a year-round vehicle. You really feel the rally heritage when you're driving this car. There's no wonder why it won so many championships in Canada, in the United States, as well as the World Rally Championship as well. Torque is so good. We're at 3,500 RPM right now. Third gear in Sport Sharp. We went into fourth gear right now. And it just pulls so well. This does use, or recommends, premium fuel, by the way. They say that you can use regular, but it is tuned for premium. You might not get the same type of performance if you put the regular stuff in though. We're on gravel roads right now. This suspension is how they redesigned this thing, and just how it sucks up these massive potholes even. We got lots of puddles. I love puddles, that's for sure. And there are even some times where I felt like we even got a little bit of air. Not really, but they want us to keep these cars in one piece. But we are in Sport Sharp. This transmission is very, very reactive and proactive. If you want to take the traction control off, it's just the one button. There's no sequence. You don't have to hold and press the button, just hit it. Traction control is off. You could really fly down these gravel roads. It just floats over these large bumps. Brake-wise, extremely progressive, but this car is just so comfortable to drive. Like, it is not rough at all. It's fairly quiet in here, as you can hear. It's so fun. Like, I'm pushing someone in front of me right now. Probably shouldn't be, but I just want to go faster. It just says, drive me faster, let me slide a little bit. And I'm going to say this again. This Subaru Performance Transmission has far exceeded my expectations. However, there still is no substitute for rolling your own gears. So next up, the manual transmission. Woohoo! Oh, there's the limiter. Oops. In the 6-speed manual right now, and one thing for sure, it really does rev out a little bit quicker, actually a lot quicker than that performance transmission. That tach just goes right up to over 6,000 RPM. The throws are fairly short. It's easy to shift. The clutch has a fairly light feel to it. It's no surprise, even as good as that SPT is, that if you want the most connected feel and most engagement between you and the car, the 6-speed manual is the way to go. However, not everybody, first of all, wants to drive a manual transmission all the time. If this is going to be your one and only daily driver, and you have a commute involved and you have rush hour, hey, I would just go for that SPT. If this is a second car, you just want to have fun, yeah, go for the manual. Subaru is just so good at making vehicles that are so fun to drive off the road. I mentioned this when we just tested the Outback Wilderness, is a lot of times when you're driving off-road and you hit the pavement, you're like, oh, it feels so much better. But in these Subarus, when you hit the pavement, you just want to get back on to the gravel road again, because it just seems like it's natural. It's its natural habitat. So what's it going to cost you to get into a new WRX? Well, the base WRX starts at $30,995. These are Canadian dollars, by the way, so make sure to check with your local Subaru website if you don't live in Canada and see what trims they have and how much that costs. Most likely, if you're in the US, you're going to pay less than what we pay for sure. So just under 31 grand for the base trim, goes all the way up to $41,000 for the top trim that we have here. But I think the sweet spot, for $4,500 more than the base WRX, you can go into the sport trim, and with that, you're gonna get the 18-inch wheels. You're gonna get the 11.6-inch screen. You get the power sunroof, and all WRXs come with the standard 2.4-liter turbocharged boxer engine with 271 horsepower. Just pick your transmission. Of course, there's gonna be an additional charge for that SPT. If you want to roll your own gears, just stick with the manual. The other choice that you have, you can go for the EyeSight, but only on the automatic transmission. And this is the new revised EyeSight. So the camera view is wider. They're placed in a different area. The housing's different, so less prone for fogging or being obstructed. And for the first time in a WRX, you get the Subaru Starlink connected services for a free 3-year trial. So that includes remote start, emergency services. If something happens, you know, they're gonna send out the ambulance. If you have a problem with your vehicle, you get roadside assistance. And the beauty of it is that when you actually call them and hit that button, they know what kind of car you have. They know what kind of wheels they are, for instance, and they know where you are. So that you get for 3 years. After that, it's $179 Canadian per year after that. And I think there's a lot of value here. You know, we just tested the Volkswagen GLI not too long ago, and in that video I said, this is one of the last few good deals, and it really is. That GLI only comes in one trim, and that's fully loaded. You just pick your transmission, and that's about $31,000. So roughly the same price as what this is in the base trim. But you know, another $4,500, you're getting a lot more, but you are also getting 50 more horsepower on this WRX, as well the full-time all-wheel drive and all those years of rally experience that Subaru has baked right in here. This really is the Swiss Army knife of vehicles. If you could only have one vehicle, you want it for year-round driving, you want to carry the family, put stuff in the trunk, you want to drive on gravel roads, no issue whatsoever. You got that cladding that's going to protect it a little bit more. There is no doubt that if I was in the market for a sport compact sedan, this would be for sure at the top or near the top of the list, hands down. Couple big shout outs. Matthew Thomason from Car Question on YouTube. If you haven't checked him out, check him out, hit that subscribe button. He does English and French videos. He's like my French twin from the other side of the country. We have a lot of fun together. But anyways, he was gracious enough to share and work with me on acquiring some of the footage that you've seen on this review. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to actually film and drive the car at the same time. It's pretty well impossible, really. So thank you, Matthew. And second, thank you, Subaru Canada and their entire event team for providing us this vehicle, but not just that, but creating this amazing drive event to really showcase the WRX and for what it's meant for and what it's capable of. You know, we weren't just putting around. We put this thing to work, and we drove it hard. And yeah, this is the way that a drive event should be. So thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, like and subscribe. See you on the next review. Cheers.